And people say that the Cryo Flak build isn't OP. Well, today, guys, I want to share with you guys the best Cryo Flak build with Gamma Burst that you'll ever see on the internet. Let's go ahead and jump on in it. SFA, this is LaserBolt, and welcome to today's video, guys. Today, I bring to you my, I wouldn't say updated version of my Cryo build. This is actually a different take on the Cryo build. The first Cryo build I had was running Rack Attack. This is actually running Gamma Burst, so it's a little bit different, and it is extremely OP. It will make every single content that you play super duper easy. You'll be freezing people left and right. No matter what it is, you're still going to be able to take out enemies. And what makes this build really good is the fact that not only is it really good for mobbing, but it's extremely well when it comes to bossing. So whatever one you decide to go with, you'll be happy camper. And it's not too much gear focus. There are a couple elements that we're going to be using as part of a requirement, but it's not heavily geared focus. Now, before we get started and show you guys the whole build, I have a question for you guys. What is your favorite skill tree out of all the skill trees with Flak? Is it the green one, the orange one, or the blue one? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, as a friendly reminder, guys, I stream daily on Twitch. The link is down below in my description. I would love it for you guys to stop by. Maybe we could chat it up, talk some sports, talk some games, or just have some positive vibes and have some fun while we're streaming. See you guys there. All right, so now let's take a look at the skill tree, guys. Now, for the skill tree, we're going to be dumping at some points into the Stalker skill tree. We're also going to be dumping some points into the Hunter one. Now, for the Hunter one in particular, we're going to be dumping 5 points into Interplanetary Stalker. It's going to give us the ability of getting us damage plus pet damage. Plus, it's also going to be very beneficial because we are going to be tapping into the robot bonus, the human bonus, and the beast bonus, which is corrosive damage, action skill cooldown damage, and movement speed. This is going to tie in perfectly with the next ability we're going to be picking up within the skill tree, and it's all going to work very well. Then we're going to be dumping 3 points into Leave No Trace. Once again, this is going to allow us to score a critical hit, and when we do that, it's going to return an extra ammo. Now, the weapon we have picked for this particular build is going to need that extra ammo, so we're never running out of ammo, and we're always constantly firing that shot, so it's going to be playing in perfectly. Then we're going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Second Intention. Once again, a hunter kill skill, which is going to increase our reload speed. Now, since we are technically only using one particular weapon here, it's going to be very important that our reload speed is active the majority of the time because we want to make sure that we're able to re-engage and get back into the fights very fast. Now, for the Hunter Eye, I have 5 points here. This is coming straight from a class mod. If for some reason you do not have this class mod with 5, I'll explain later where you're going to be getting some points here because you want to make sure you're putting points in here because you want to tap into that human, robot, and beast abilities that are going to be very crucial to this particular build. And I'll explain later where you want to tinker and kind of move it around if you don't have this particular class mod enabled. Now, what we're going to be doing here, you're technically going to be dumping 2 points into that one, but I'll explain where you're going to be getting those 2 points from. Now, we're going to go over and get 3 points from head count. This is going to give us a, when we score a crit hit chance, it's going to give us the ability to reduce our action skill cooldown time, which is really important because we want to make sure we're using our action skill as much as we possibly can. And by tapping in here, we're going to be getting that. Next up, guys, we're going to go into the big game. Now, big game is crucial because it's going to tie in perfectly with the most dangerous game. They basically go in hand because big game is going to give you action skill, making it last longer and have more effect against your targets. That's the main reason we're picking it up here. And when we go to the most dangerous game, that's going to give us extra critical hit damage, going to give us extra gun damage, and it's going to give us extra weapon handling. And the more we have this active, the better. That's why we picked up big game, and that's why these two go in hand. And you always want to make sure whenever you pick up big game, you pick up the most dangerous game because they tie in perfectly. And the synergy overall with these two particular abilities is extremely very well. So always highly recommend drop 3 into big game, drop 3 into pretty much dangerous game. Now, the one thing I do want to let you guys know is we're dumping 2 points here. If for some reason you do not have that class mod and you don't have those 5 points, instead of dumping the 2 points right here, you're going to dump those 2 points into the one where our class mod is currently active. That is what you want to do. Next up, guys, we are then going to go ahead and dump 1 point into Galactic Shadow. That's going to give us critical hit damage, and enemies are going to be less likely to attack us, which is going to be very important because it's going to tie in perfectly with another skill we're going to be picking up in the Stalker skill tree. Last but not least, we're dumping 1 point into Megabore. Megabore is extremely important that you guys definitely pick up. Basically, any other body part that you shoot from the enemy, it could be their toe, their nail, it's going to be considered a crit hit damage, and that is extremely important because we're picking up a lot of things from this particular ability. So that pretty much covers everything here. The last thing we're picking up here is the Spider Ant, and either that pretty much covers the whole entire Hunter skill tree. Now, let's go over to the Stalker skill tree. Now, for the Stalker skill tree, we're going to be picking up a lot of benefits here that we're also going to be tying in perfectly. The first one is Ferocious Attack. There's a Hunter skill, and this is going to give us gun damage and handling, plus our pet damage is going to be able to stack up, which is really, really good, and it's going to be able to stack up times 10. And it's gonna tie in perfectly. Then Eager to Impress, we're gonna be getting 2 points here. Another kill skill, it's gonna reduce our action skill cooldown. Once again, the more our action skill is being used, the more effective this is gonna be, because we want to make sure we're always getting that extra damage with our weapon. Overclocked, we're dumping 5 points here. This is going to increase our fire rate. Based on the weapon we're currently using, we want to make sure our weapon is firing very fast, because that's going to give the kind of flavor text in the weapon, going to give it, allow it to proc a lot faster, and I'll explain that a little bit further once we get into the gear. But fire rate for this particular build is really important. Next up, guys, we're going to be dumping 3 points into Turn, Tail, and Run. It's going to once again give us a health regeneration, and it's also going to give us gun damage and fire rate. The main point here we're getting here is not too much for the health regen, but we're getting it for the gun damage, which is a plus 25, and the fire rate a plus 12, which the more fire rate we have, the more damage our weapon is going to be doing. So make sure that you keep that in mind when we're putting this build together. We want to make sure we're firing our clip really quickly. Next up, guys, dumping a total of 4 points into Hidden Machine. Once again, giving us that gun damage, because what this does is when enemies are attacking different enemies, it's going to give us that bonus of plus 24 damage. So it's really important, because remember, we picked up a skill tree, the Hunter skill tree, that allowed us to make enemies shoot other enemies, don't shoot us, which is going to give us that extra plus 24 damage, proccing a lot more frequently and making it overall really good. The last 2 points, guys, we're dumping into the Fast and the Ferocious. Once again, getting gun damage here and pet damage and movement speed. Majority, of course, is pet damage. Now, we're picking up Fadeaway here, and we're also going to be picking Until You're Dead, giving us that health regen and movement speed, and Unblinking Eye, giving us that plus 75 critical hit damage per hit. Really important. Now, if for some reason you don't like any of these two, or you want to play around with a different one, you're always able to pick Not in My Circus. And either way, those tie in perfectly. And there overall, guys, is the skill tree. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the gear. Alright, so here is our gear. As you guys notice, our gear is not like extremely heavily focused that you have to use this particular gear. There's only one particular item, actually 2 particular items that are pretty much a requirement. Everything else, is the majority, is a little bit flexible. But overall, in general, I think this particular build, these are the items that fit it perfectly. So, the one that's actually a requirement is going to be this SMG right here, which, of course, guys, is the Distributor. This is actually one of my favorite weapons, and it's by far one of the best weapons currently in the game, because it does 2 things very good. Not only does it have really good cryo efficiency, which cryo efficiency, for those of you who don't know, that's going to allow you, the higher the cryo efficiency, the more likelihood you are to freeze enemies, and it is actually pretty high. Now, in addition to that, this weapon is extremely well when it comes to ad control, because of the flavor text. Every 7 shot that is amped, amp shots chained nearby enemies. So every 7 shots, you're going to be amping up and shooting nearby enemies. It's kind of creating a chain link between what you're firing and anything that's surrounding it. But what makes this beautiful is that since in our class tree, we are increasing our fire rate, that amp shot is going to be getting triggered over and over and over at a very high rapid rate. So this one right here, guys, to me personally is a requirement. As far as the anointment, I have on action skill and weapon damage is increased by 100%. There are multiple ones that you could go with here, but I think this one fits in perfectly. There is another one that helps you with the cryo efficiency, so you could freeze more enemies. But I think this one right here, after you exit that fadeaway, you're going to have that extra oomph to damage the enemy. The other weapon you could use in here that works well, but doesn't work as well, I believe, as a distributor, is Illusion's Call. Now, this is actually a really good weapon because what this is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to ricochet bullets off your target, giving you even more damage. Once again, we're using the same anointment. Now, this one doesn't have that high cryo efficiency, so we're not going to be freezing enemies that often as we would with the distributor. That's why I like the distributor, better. Next up, guys, as far as our shield, we're using the Transformer. Transformer is always a really good, it's my favorite go shield just because it's so good. In addition to that, if you're doing the Maliwan raid, you are going to be getting a lot of shock, and that shock is going to be replenishing your shield, which is very important, and I like it the way it fits there. You could go with any other kind of shield here. Big Boom Blaster works really well, but I think the Transformer is like my #1 go-to shield. I think it fits in perfectly. Now, as far as anointment, you want to go with something that's going to give you extra bonuses on action skill ends. So this one gives me radiation damage. You can go with corrosive, cryo, or fire, or shock, depending on what type of content you're doing. So if you're doing Maliwan, definitely shock is what you would probably flavor here, or corrosive or cryo. Those are the ones you want to go with. Now, as far as my grenade, I'm running the recurring hex. Love this one. Really high cryo efficiency, so it's going to help you freeze enemies right there, right off the bat. Boom. And we have on action skill end, gain bonus cryo damage, once again giving us even more efficiency with cryo, allowing us to freeze more enemies, and we're double dipping with radiation and cryo right here with the grenade. Next up, guys, we're going to be taking a look at the class mod. For the class mod, I am running the Bounty Hunter. Now, Bounty Hunter is really good. The reason I'm running this one is because it gives me that 5 into that one. Convert them to Beast and Robots. Really, really good. In addition to that, we have a 3% chance to activate any purchase hunt kill skill, and it's going to deal extra gun damage, which is really, really good. And I like that part of the this particular one. It's definitely a really good class mod. I have plus 25 weapon damage, so in addition to what my weapon's doing, we're getting a plus 25. We're getting a plus 31 SMG damage, which makes it a total of 56. In addition to that, we added an extra 10 because I am having that extra 10 Hyperion damage. So we're getting a total here of 66 damage overall in general just from our class mod alone, making it spicy. Now, this particular class mod is my personally favorite. You could go with any other one. Other ones work really well with this build as well, but this one to me feels a little bit to be more powerful than anything combined together. Last but not least, guys, everything that's tying this all together is the Icebreaker Auto Idle. There's another requirement. I think out of all the other ones we have, this is the one that you want to have. The reason is for two particular things. The increased damage against frozen targets, since our cryo efficiency is really high, we want to have as much damage when that target is frozen. And number 2, it allows us to restore a maximum 18% max health after killing an enemy. Since we are going to be killing a ton of enemies, that plus 18% is going to be kicking over and over, making it really, really good. Now, for my flavor text on this one, I got a plus 40 magazine size. Really good with the distributor. The more bullets, the more we're able to have that shot and get that 7 shots. Plus 26 weapon accuracy. That's the only one that I would probably change and maybe have a little bit different. But what you do want to have is that plus 27 cryo efficiency. That's definitely a requirement for this build. Once again, the higher cryo efficiency, the more we're able to freeze enemies. Now, I will be providing a save file for this particular build on my Discord channel. The link is down below. Head on over there and download it whenever you can. Now, the question is, how do you actually play with this build? Well, in order to play with this build, it's not that difficult, guys. All you want to do is go ahead, pull out your distributor, go into fadeaway, shoot everything that comes your way. Once you exit out of fadeaway, you're going to get that extra 100% weapon damage, which is going to be doing a lot of work and a lot of damage. And if you are bossing, basically it's almost works, everything works the same. You're going to want to go into fadeaway and just spray until your heart's content. Whatever shield the enemy comes with, cryo is like the #1 for me personally. When it comes to a pretty much an element, I think it's the best one. It just does very well against almost every single thing that gets thrown at it. So you are going to be having a fun time. And there you guys have it. That is my flag cryo build. Let me know in the comment section down below if there's anything you would change within the skill tree, another weapon you guys would like to recommend. If you do, drop it down in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys on the next video.